what do you need improvement in?
Just want to go through and win.
What is the purpose of overthinking? You're taking care of your loved one. That's how you can increase your sales.
Hello, everybody. This is Fair.
And this is Caleb Flanoy, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz.
Man, Caleb, we have an amazing episode today, brother. We're going to be talking about closing the gap, guys.
Yes, closing the gap between expectation and reality.
Man,
so that's a big gap
that's
between them.
That's a lot of stuff right there, bro.
Yeah, man. But before we get started, man, what's going on with you, brother?
Man, what's been going on, brother? I know we ate at a beautiful restaurant the other day up in Douglasville, man. That was pretty good. That
Gumbos.
Man.
Oh my goodness, Gumbos had like Cajun. It was like a seafood restaurant. And Ferris, I heard your Facebook. Like you always talk about the importance of like networking with people.
Yes.
And so you talked about not eating alone, and so that's how you build your relationship. Elaborate. Why did you? What actually made you come up with this concept?
So I read a book. I forgot who the author was, but it says "Never Eat Alone."
Okay.
And so one thing I realized that I'm a natural introvert, and one thing I always go through, and I want to intentionally. I think when you know your natural habitat and know your natural actions, you find ways to continue to grow, because I still want to grow as a person.
Right.
So what I did was I wanted to grow as a better CEO. So every week I go through and actually sit around the table with other CEOs, other community leaders, and what I do is we sit and have a conversation. It actually teaches me first how to have a conversation. Secondly, what it does is a great networking opportunity to go through, so we can share ideas, so we can go through and get to know each other. Because one thing I realized, when you're eating by yourself, the only thing you're not growing. But when you're eating with someone else, you're sharing ideas, you're getting into their community, they get into your community, and that's where relationships form as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for the invite, because I really enjoyed it. We ended up meeting with another CEO of a home care company.
Yeah.
And we ate at this restaurant called Gumbos in Douglasville, downtown. Shout out to Gumbos. If you see this, if you ate at Gumbos, tag them so they can probably give us some free gumbo. But yes, the restaurant was amazing. The experience was great, and ended up connecting with. I did not know that she played tennis.
Yeah. Oh man.
So we ended up connecting.
Was she any good?
Well, I haven't seen her play.
Okay,
I haven't seen her play, but she sounds like she can talk the game. So she actually knows the score, so that's good.
Lingo.
She knows the lingo. But yeah, that was a great thing, and I'm really inspired about just like not eating alone, like Ferris, like just kind of connecting with people. I want to do more connections, especially going into this year, because you never know like what relationships are going to be built.
And I think this right here. And it kind of, we're going to go back to this, but kind of even talking about what we're talking about today, kind of closing the gap. The expectations for me as a CEO was to grow. The reality is, I was just working those hours. I mean, I was just working hard, but the gap was my network was not growing. And so intentionally closing those gaps, intentionally realizing that if I want to go through a network with individuals, I want to go through and actually grow as a person, I had to do something about it. And that's why who does not want dinner? Who does not want lunch? And one thing I'm going to encourage our audience as well is hop into somebody's DM. Don't try to go through and holler at them. Don't try to go through and date them and nothing like that. But hop in their DM and invite them out to lunch. Invite to go through and pay for their lunch. Because one thing is I don't think there's enough money out there. Well, it probably is. I do have a number for coaching as well, but I'm not looking to go through and bring in coaching clients, but I'm looking always to impact our community. Right. I'm always looking to go through and actually give back to up and coming entrepreneurs. Right. But what better way to go through and actually invite to a nice lunch? Not no. I love my fast food restaurants, but not that. I'm about a nice lunch to have a nice sit down atmosphere, nice conversation to be had as well. Exactly.
So I thought that was a great thing, and that's something I'm definitely want to take in and put a part of my like my weekly goal is to network with someone and pretty much kind of take them out for lunch. I think that's great. Yeah. But let's go into our conversation. Our conversation today is closing the gap between expectation and reality. And so I'm gonna let you dive into that, man, because especially as entrepreneurs, we can have. I know when I was just pretty much a young entrepreneur starting off in the home care business, I had everything in my mind. I wanted everybody to do, and so my level of expectation for them to execute this goal was not communicated effectively, but it was more so I had everything. So I'm like, if you're a staffer, I know that my goal is at the end of the day, I need for everything to be complete. Okay. If you are hiring people, I need for you to make sure you get all the credentials. Like I had all these things in my mind, and then sometimes as a entrepreneur, so we can have all these levels of expectation, and then the reality is not there. Correct. And the reality could become could come from, the lack of training.
Correct.
Could come from a lack of, even executed or really detailed expectations. And so I want you to elaborate on that, Ferris.
Man, I think becoming self-aware and realizing, just like you said, and I think this really hits hard for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of even parents or whoever. We have a high level expectation and we want people to perform at such a high level, but we realize that may be our reality, but their reality may not meet our expectation.
Right.
And what happens is this is where the gap comes in. This is where crucial conversation or conflict or
crucial accountability. Yeah.
Crucial accountability has to come in place, because one thing is, if we're going to go through and expect someone to perform, we have to be able to go through and actually expect ourselves as well to go through and be able to go through and actually set the things that's going to set them up for success.
Right.
And so when it comes to the expectations, I think when it comes to my voice that went out, not the mic, it's the voice.
Okay. All right.
But one thing when it comes to setting expectations is realize that there's levels to it. There's levels to going through and setting expectations, because I can expect someone to come in and perform like this.
Like a robot.
A robot.
Right.
But if I didn't go through and train them properly, if I don't have enough people on the team, if they don't have enough software equipment, my expectations may be there, but the reality is they're not fully equipped to go through and perform anything.
Ferris, I was hearing, especially when we had the conversation about expectations. I remember, as managers or as employees, are we giving deliverable expectations? Like, I know, like, are we really saying, okay, I need for this project to be finished by 5 o'clock? Exactly. Like, is that a realistic expectation for someone that's having their day to day and all of their responsibilities? And so I think it's important to acknowledge and make sure we give realistic expectations so no one won't feel pressured and we won't have an unmet expectation.
Wow, that's key. And I think so many times I can reflect on like just working with the team, and sometimes I'm like, oh, it's only going to take 3 steps to get it done. Just 1, 2, 3, and it's done. But not having an account for it's more than 3 steps. If you even think about, like, I think about in production, there's so much stuff that's going on behind production.
It's more than just cut the camera on.
Exactly. It's more than cut the camera on, record and turn it off. You have to go through and re-listen to stuff. You have to go through and get the sound bites, the clips. You have to go through and edit the audio sometimes, the video. It's more like, in reality is we see a football player on the team or we see a television show. We think, oh, they're just doing this.
Right.
But there's so many other things that's going on. Reality is that person has prepared for it. The person has started to fill in those gaps as well.
Hey you, do you know of a child or have a child with a disability that may need in-home care services? Hi, my name is Antoinette Hoskins. I'm a Gap Care Coordinator here at Prime Care Home Care. I specialize in providing in-home pediatric care for disabled children in the comfort of their homes. If you or someone that you may know may need assistance at zero cost to you, please do not hesitate to give me a call at 470-661-5309. I also service counties from Douglasville all the way to Bonaire, Georgia. Again, contact number is 470-661-5309.
You know what? I think that even with our healthcare business, I want to tie into that a little bit. I think that, as young entrepreneurs, that's probably one of the failures of entrepreneurs is we have so many expectations and people don't know it or pretty much can't live with it, and then we pretty much kind of have an unmet expectation, and we go in and try to replace the person, which we could have just clearly communicated, hey, this is what we need to do by a certain time frame, and making sure it's realistic. I think even for our pediatric department, if you don't have foundations or policies and procedures for people to know like how to complete certain tasks, okay, that's where you probably need to start first.
That's a gap.
That's a gap right there, because if you have an expectation, these are the number of enrollments, this is the process. If someone has an incident, this is the process of how to hire a caregiver for your department or whatever, and you don't have policies or processes, that's the first thing right there is for you to evaluate yourself, okay, and figure out, okay, well, what is missing in this whole ordeal? What is missing? Why is my expectation here and the deliverables deliverables are here and we have this huge gap. And so the gap could start off with, hey, do I have processes to really make sure that this stuff, my expectations are met?
So that comes with crucial accountability. And the first step of crucial accountability is work on me first.
Work on me first.
Not going through and actually kind of diagnosing, well, this person didn't do this person. Work on me first. And let's kind of look at that. Working
and evaluating your team, your system, what you got going on.
Evaluating your thought process.
Right.
Have you set your team up for failure or success? Did you thoroughly go through and actually identify different processes in place? Do we have equipment for the individuals to use? Like, are they in the right frame of mind? Are you asking them to do something and Christmas is 2 days away? It's a lot to go through and think about. You have to work on yourself first before you start working on others.
Exactly. You know, and working on yourself is pretty much, like you said, your thought process, making sure that if you do have a conversation, how's your tone? How is your attitude? What are the stories you're telling yourself to make sure that you're not really going to offend someone? And the next step is pretty much is creating a safe space. You know, you want safety. And I think that when we talked about safety, we talked about having mutual respect, enough to make the relationship strengthen.
Wow. And
it was one more thing: respect, strengthen the relationship, and let me see if
results.
Yeah, making sure that making sure that your objectives are clear.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's where that kind of understanding the mutual respect is having that shared meaning. Like how it would be so. It'd be so rude or disrespectful for me to come into your office and say, hey, Caleb, I need this done when you're already working on something.
Right.
And so having that mutual respect to realize that you have things on your plate, just like I have things on my plate. And my things, it may have some priorities, but to go through and mutually understand that I'm going to respect your space, that's a beautiful thing as well, instead of just piling things on. And I think having that shared mutual respect, it allows us to go through and communicate. Right. It'll keep you open to the point where if I'm putting a deliverable on you and it's unrealistic, you'll be able to say, hold up, well, hey, we can get this done, but I have to get back with my team.
Because of the safe space.
Because of the safe space, because we created a safe space for communication. Right. Because what happens is when you especially on the team, if you don't have a safe space, you get bobbleheads on your team. You're like, you know what, yes, I can get it done.
And then they don't get it done, and then your unmet expectation is you have an unmet expectation.
Because they say, well, I can get it done by today at 5 o'clock. Then come 5 o'clock, you're like, it's not done. Now your belief in them dwindles. You're like, man, this person can't do this or whatever.
Wow.
But only if that's why it's so important for us to create a safe space so that they can go through and give their reality and say, you know what, yes, I can get it done, or no, let me do a little research, I can get it done within a week. And we have to go through and have a mutual understanding where if they can get it done in a week, now it's up to us to realize that, you know what, okay, well, hey, do I just need to go through and give that person time to get it done? Do I need to get them additional training, or what is the end product that we're trying to go through and reach?
I think that makes sense now, because it wins two things. If that person don't get it done, Ferris, then you have an unmet expectation and you start creating stories about, well, this person would never get it done. This person don't know what they're doing. I can't give them projects like this because it's not going to be met. But in actuality, it was just like you were giving them too much and you didn't set realistic expectations. That's the first thing. The second thing I thought about was I got brain froze, but that was the main thing, is like the stories that you would tell regarding that person that didn't meet expectations.
Because what we started doing is we started diagnosing the problem without all the facts. Right. It's almost like looking at somebody and say, oh man, you're going to die in 3 days from cancer. I'm like, hold on, you ain't did no evaluation. Like, I ain't got no cancer.
Right.
So what we're doing in situations on teams, we're going through and diagnosing, but not knowing all the facts. Having a conversation, creating respect to go through and ask, okay, well, hey, are you familiar with this type of deliverable? Are you able to go through and actually, do you understand when it comes to developing processes or policies and procedures? Are you able to interpret those things? Because we may go through and say, hey, because you're a manager, read this and write some new policies, but have we properly trained the person on how to write a policy?
Right.
Or our expectation is that all managers know how to write policies, or all directors know how to go through and do policy procedures. So I think that's when our expectation is, but reality is, just because I worked at another company and I did certain things does not mean that I can do everything.
Right.
And so I think now it's the conversation, it's the mutual respect, it's the shared meaning, it's these things that's going to allow people to open up and say, you know what, Caleb, hey, or Ferris, I really want to go through that, but I've never written it. How would you like for it done? Or would you mind actually sitting with me for about an hour or so? Just, I'm a quick learner, but I want to go through and see how you want that deliverable done. And
you know what? I think I got my thought back, because like what happens, Ferris, or how should someone handle when there is there's a level of expectation from their boss or their employer, and actually it's not realistic. So how should that person handle or speak to their supervisor or their boss saying, you know what, I really can't get this done by 5 o'clock. What are some ways that person can handle it? Because I know as it's being an entrepreneur, we're driven. We see, we're laser focused at times, and we probably give unrealistic expectations. And so how should someone handle that?
I think first of all, when it comes back to working on me first, I think as the leader of an organization,
that's the first thing.
You have to work on yourself to set the tone and set the atmosphere so people can feel comfortable with agreeing or disagreeing with you.
Right.
Or saying yes or no, or saying not right now. I think that's the thing. If for some reason you're setting an environment and it's always, it has to be your way, the heart of my way, what we're going to do is your expectations are never going to be met, because people are going to say yes, but they mean no, or yes, but not right now.
Wow.
So I think first of all, we work on ourselves, and then as we work on ourselves, we go through and create an opportunity for shared space to go through and let people know that, hey, asking them the question, well, hey, Caleb, is this realistic to think that it can get done right now, or would you need some more time? I always like to go through and give people the benefit of the doubt, because I rather have what I need done correctly in a timely fashion that meets my overall time frame than just for someone to say yes. So I think to answer your question is to go through and not have just bobbleheads or yes men around or yes women around, is to go through and work on me first. Because the moment we go through and just have an environment where it has to be whatever I say, then what's going to happen is I know expectations will not be met.
Exactly. As we go into it, so it's probably work on me first when we talk about accountability, creating a safe space, and then we got to diagnose the issue. So diagnose the problem. And diagnose the problem is having clear, smart, realistic goals. And then last but not least is move on or move to action. And so that's when you say who's going to do what, by when,
and how will I know it's done?
And how would I know it's going to be done?
Exactly. And that's one thing is, as working in business, family, whatever, it's everything's about action oriented. Because one thing we don't want to do is stay in a stagnated place. We don't want to go through and have a person not actually elevate in a company, not grow as a family member. So the goal is to go through and have that a crucial accountability. Who's going to do what by when, how will I know it's done? If who's going to do what, if I'm going to train you, when I'm going to train you, and how will I know that you mastered this particular task? That's fine right there. And then we flip it flip the script and say, okay, well, Caleb, now that I train you on this, you're going to do what? By when, or you come a win, and how will I know it's not? Are you going to come back to me and let me know when it's done as well? So this is just an ever evolving process, man.
Exactly. So expectations are here, reality is here, and so we're going to close that gap by having crucial conversations and crucial accountability.
Exactly.
And so I definitely agree, Nord. Excuse me, I'm about to call you Nord. We get comfortable. I definitely agree with the safe space, man, the safety. I think safety is so important. Making sure someone feels safe so they can communicate and say, you know what, it can get done, or it probably won't get done during this time. But let's make sure it is done right. And let's make sure we close that gap. Gap. Yeah, that's how you close it.
Man, I even looking at this from a family perspective as well, I think so many times, that gap can be wide. It can be very wide, and expectations of a spouse for them to operate at a certain level on everything. And no one's 100% on everything.
No one's a robot.
Nobody's a robot. But I think sometimes we can hold people to some high expectations and realize the reality is we grew up totally different. We have different levels of experience, different level of exposures, and that gap. If we are totally committed to our team or our family, our goal is to go through and close the gap, not to go through and destroy. not to go through and destroy relationships or destroy team members or destroy family members by having high expectations that's going to go through and leave them unmotivated to go through and actually move forward as well. So this is so crucial when it comes to the development of a person, not just business, but in family as well.
Exactly. I think we need to end it right there. I think that's important right there, Ferris. So I definitely hope you enjoyed this episode with Conversation with the Homecare Guys. Definitely, if you can, I want you to go to YouTube right now and click that follow button or subscribe button. We have videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays that come out, and I know that these videos are inspiration and motivation, motivating for entrepreneurs and as well as healthcare tips. And so I want you to enjoy this. And Ferris, I'm gonna let you end it,
guys. Just like Caleb said, continue to go through and follow us on everything from streaming platforms such as Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
Apple Podcasts,
we're on all of it. So make sure you go through and subscribe. Make sure you go through and communicate with individuals, tag, and share individuals as well. Let them know that the Homecare Guys are on every Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll continue to go through and deliver some great content.
All right, guys, you stay safe.
Have a good one.